And we used to joke, and we used to try to trip our friends in public, and we'd say Kobe, and we'd trip them. So if you're out there, go and trip somebody and say Kobe,
or just crumple up a piece of paper and then go Kobe. Throw in the trash can. You can do that too.
All right, don't trip anybody. Shut that kid up.
What's going on, guys? Welcome to Barcast. And what's going on, man?
This is all right. So I love giving full disclosure. I don't know if anybody else cares about it, but we were supposed to have a guest on.
Yes.
And the guest postponed, so we had to reschedule.
Bailed.
And I felt like we should
Stood us up.
We should, they did. No, I felt like we should still film an episode because I actually think it ended up working out because I wanted to discuss a topic. So the topic is legacy, and the reason why I thought of that was as we filmed this, we just found out yesterday that Kobe Bryant passed in the helicopter crash, which is
I still can't.
Crazy.
I woke up this morning and still didn't believe it had happened.
It's crazy. It's crazy on so many levels, and so I thought about legacy, and I don't want to direct this conversation. I just want to talk because I think it'll be a good conversation. We haven't even talked about it.
Yeah.
And so let's just start. Like, it's fucking wild.
Yeah.
It's like wild.
Yeah. You know.
How'd you find out?
I found it on Facebook, and honest to God, I
thought it was
fake.
a joke.
I thought it was fake. I thought it was BS. I was like, look at this idiot sharing something. And then, looking all over TV, there was nothing. And I even Googled it, right? Because the first thing you do is Google. Nothing on Google. Yeah. So I was like, all right, this is definitely BS. And then 10 minutes later, I was like, oh, shit. No, it really is.
Well,
it really happened.
So my girlfriend texted me, and she was like, she sent me the article. She's like, did you hear Kobe Bryant died? And I'm in the middle of, I was doing Mackenzie's hot chocolate stand outside. Yeah. So I'm like stressing out trying to get her sales. And she sends me the TMZ article, and I went to the link. So I saw a TMZ, and I'm like, I don't know. And then I went to the link, and it wasn't working.
Yeah.
So I'm like, this is definitely fake.
Right.
Went to ESPN immediately. Nothing was there. And then 5 minutes later, it came up on ESPN, and I was just like, it's unbelievable.
It really is.
Unbelievable.
I'm still just trying to wrap I put on social media, I was like, when you look at somebody like Kobe, you think that somebody like that's just invincible.
Yeah.
Like, how's it going to happen to somebody who's 41 years old, who's one of the greatest basketball players to ever play? Not only that, but he was really starting to come into his own outside of basketball.
Yeah.
And this is probably what you're trying to lean into as far as legacy is concerned. But just with what he was doing with his kids and
yeah. Well, and it wasn't.
And that was the other thing too, because his daughter was on there.
Yeah, and we definitely should talk about after basketball, but it wasn't even that. What made me think about it was I was blown away at the response, and it makes sense, but would Michael Jordan get the same response? He was as good of a basketball player, arguably. Most people would say he was better.
Yeah.
I don't think he would have gotten the same response.
That's interesting.
Right?
That's interesting.
And so to me, it was crazy how many people, all walks of life, men, women, whatever, anybody, who I didn't even know were sports, were impacted by Kobe, and everybody was posting about it. And I'm sure as this airs, people are already done, already been done with it.
Process it. Now it's just rehashing it all.
Yeah, but the reason why I thought about legacy was hearing all the basketball players talk about it, the NBA players.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, this dude, the first thing you think is Mamba Mentality.
Yep.
And the things people were saying about him, I'm like, man, he made such an incredible impact. And his legacy is so etched in stone. It's incredible. I don't know who would have, at this moment, have as much of an impact right now, which is surprising because I would have never, I don't know why it surprised me, but it surprised me.
Yeah, and it wasn't even just people. You said athletes in basketball. It was all they had the Pro Bowl like literally minutes before that happened.
Yeah.
And like everybody, and I saw that talked to Mark Ingram about it, and he was like, nobody really wanted to go out and play.
You talked to Mark Ingram about it?
No, I
Oh.
said on social media they were talking to him about it, and it was like they didn't even want to play at that point, and it was like how do you and then like all around the league they let the shot clock expire, which is kind of cool.
Well, did you also hear that they did the half court violation
for 8 seconds?
Yeah.
Yeah. That was really cool.
So it's crazy.
It's pretty wild.
So I think it's tragic and it's horrible, but it's incredible. Like it's incredible. Like it's the impact he made and his impact. Obviously, he recently retired, so it's still fresh in that sense. Like he just got done playing, but him getting into a whole nother industry and getting into film and making such an immediate impact where it's like this guy just has some drive, and like you said, coaching his daughter's team, like the dude is a machine. Like he's incredible, and
you don't turn that off, just because he's and I actually, he said one time, basketball, when they were asking him about, retiring and stuff like that, like, are you going to miss it? He actually, like, didn't even hesitate when he said no.
Yeah.
And, one thing that I resonated with me was that, like, he would say, it's basketball's what I do, but it's not what I am.
Yeah.
And I thought that was really powerful. And that's true because the type of ethic and the amount of energy he put into basketball, he put into all parts of his life.
Yeah.
It wasn't just one thing, which, lived up to what he was saying as far as that's concerned.
He makes it look effortless too. I think that's what I admire about
I mean,
Kobe.
what do you know, like 3 languages too? Like,
yeah, Italian, Spanish, English. But like you think about Jordan was a dick. You know what I mean? Like Jordan was known as a competitor.
he's a trash talker and
fight every one of almost all of his teammates, but like shit on everybody at his Hall of Fame speech.
Yeah.
And he was known as a jerk, and like people respect him as a player, but I don't think they kind of mock him in some respect, like with the whole cry Jordan face or whatever. But the thing about Kobe is like he's intense, but you can't tell. Like he's so light and fun and nice. And have you ever seen the video of him when he was at practice, like the candid video of him at practice, like laying into Jeremy Lin and like yelling at the coaches saying, these guys soft. He says, Charmin soft.
I didn't know.
Oh, it's so good. But it was like this other side of him where you knew he was a competitor and you could kind of see it.
Yeah.
But like, I don't know, to me, he's like David Goggins and Michael Jordan. Like they're like David Goggins is still personable, but he's intense. Like he's an intense, like, all right, dude, chill. Like Kobe somehow manages that intensity, but also approachable and just like down to earth where you can see yourself in him, and it makes it more realistic, like that I could be as intense as him. Where David Goggins, I'm like, I hope I can be half as intense as that dude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's funny that you bring Goggins up because, that dude weighed like 350 pounds. And look at him now. It's like, how did you just wake up one day and be like, I'm flipping a switch?
Yeah.
And this is how I'm going to be for the rest of my life. Like, it's wild.
Yes, it is wild. And so I was amazed at how consistent everybody was with their words for Kobe. Obviously the impact, the next thing I thought about was the consistency, which means that he had cemented his legacy in my mind. Mm-hmm. And then, and it was crystal clear, right? Like it wasn't combating thoughts. Right. It wasn't like somebody saying, oh, he was so intense. And then somebody was like, oh, he was just really chill. Like this was the guy I looked up to. This is what I admired about him. And it was all like to a person. That's what they said. And so I want to talk about our legacy. Like I don't know if you thought about this or not, but like, what is your legacy? What do you want it to be? What do you think it is? Like, what are your thoughts about that? Have you thought about your legacy?
Yeah, of course. That's why I went into starting my own business, was so that I could leave some sort of legacy. I mean, when you look at something like I could have done the typical thing where I just work a 9 to 5 and I have a family and I retire by saving all I can and all that stuff that people tell you to do. But how you don't get remembered that way. I mean, there's plenty of people who work 9 to 5s that create their own legacies, but I think that stepping out and doing something and having the courage to do something that's uncomfortable and then seeing it through is way more impactful. And so for me, I want to be able to show others that it is possible and you can do it, and any normal person can do it. You have to want it.
Yeah.
But you know, and not just with that, but like with the business too, you know, like I feel like I'm making an impact on people's lives for the better because I mean, anytime I get a message about, hey, you know, thanks for helping me learn how to, you know, invest and trade in the markets and stuff like that. I was able to do this or that for my family. We were able to, you know, pay off student loans or whatever. Like that is a direct result of something that I started. And so that for me, it feels as if like that's part of me starting my legacy out. I'm far from over, but I like that's what makes it worth it to me. Like that's what gets me up every morning.
Well, so if you had to say, like, when people say, what do you want people to say about you after you pass? Like, what do you want them to say? Is it that about how you helped people?
Well, I want them to say that like I had the courage to step out of my own comfort zone and overcome fear, because like fear is so powerful. Like fear is more powerful than anything.
Yeah. Yeah, I would agree with that.
And I still struggle with it all the time, but I think it's just a common thing that people have, and just being like, you know, like with Kobe, people were always like, Kobe drove, because of what Kobe did, it influenced me to be able to want to do better. And so that's the legacy that I want to leave as far as that's concerned. Like I want people to see me and then, you know, impact them in that way to go after whatever it is that they wanted to go after.
Yeah.
Not listen to what other people are telling them, but listen to what, you know, they're telling themselves.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting because as I was thinking about it, I was thinking about, you know, I think on the front end of legacy, like legacy is the end. If you look at the beginning, it's mission and purpose. And I would imagine if you're consistent with your mission and purpose that you'll end with the legacy. But what I realize more and more is that you have to be really honed in on it. And there's, like, I can say there's a bunch of things I'm known for, and am I okay with that? Like, I don't know if I'm okay with that. Like, yes, Kobe did a bunch of things, but fundamentally there was this one, like, there was this thing that that people really admired about him, right? And that wasn't all he was, but it could be translated to everything.
Yeah.
And it just made me think about the legacy I'm creating and who it impacts.
Let me flip that around. What about you? Like what does that mean to you?
Well, so what I want people to say, what I think people will say, and it's what I want people to say, is to recognize how much, like, I cared about people, you know, and like my ability to build relationships. And, you know, like my mission is to connect with the world. And that means to connect with other people, to connect others with each other, but also to literally connect with the world through travel, through whatever, meditation, like whatever it is. And so that's really important. It used to be to make a positive impact on anybody I came in contact with, but I think that if I connect with the world, that I'll do that. And so I think that's what's most important, which if I really get to that, things would change for me. My decisions will change. Like if I'm being honest with myself, I can't say that all my decisions are driven by that. I think a lot of them align with it because it's my nature, but like I haven't really dug into it hardcore.
Yeah. And maybe it's something like, I'm sure that Kobe didn't think that like he had even left.
Absolutely not.
So like, I think it's just something that I think it's something you just realize that you don't leave behind until after gone from here, which is kind of crazy. I know there's a lot of people that live for that. There's a lot of people that live to leave a legacy, and they don't even know if the legacy actually happens until after they're gone, which is kind of mind-fucking if you if you think about that. You know?
Yeah.
You never actually realize if you've even left one.
Well, and what's sad is that this sounds real shitty, but most people will be forgotten.
Right.
Like almost everyone will be forgotten. There's only a select few that will be remembered. I have a personal question.
Okay.
Your father passed when you were young.
Mm-hmm.
Were you in your teens?
I was 14.
How does
Lakers
that...
was his favorite team.
No, really?
Yeah. My dad, when I was younger, my dad and I would watch, he was 6'6" basketball player. Lakers was his favorite team. Kareem was his favorite player. And then Kobe came up and was like, this guy's going to change it. He's going to change the game. And,
He must have passed right a couple years in, right?
My dad passed at 2000, yeah.
Okay.
So Kobe came in 96. So when they drafted him, he, at first he was like, my dad thought that Kobe came in too early.
Yeah.
And then they started him, and he didn't have like the greatest start ever, but as time went on throughout that first season, my dad was like, yeah, like he's gonna be somebody, like, if they're looking for the next MJ, like this guy's it.
So how does that... I've never experienced death really, really close to me.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't mind talking about it, like how is that experience like this coming up? Does any of that, do you have any thoughts about like your father passing, especially because he's a Laker fan? Like how did you talk about that piece of it when you found out, and if there was any thoughts?
It did,
like
it sparked like some of that memory. And I actually told people in the live stream, I was open about it. I was like, that, because I was just giving comment on the events that had happened that day. I almost didn't even have a live stream.
Yeah.
Because I was like, it just feels weird to be talking about something that's completely unrelated to what's going on in the world. So I felt like I had to at least speak on it a little bit. But yeah, there was definitely an impact when that happened. And I finally realized that, this is really happening. That it made me think about that, that time in my life for sure.
Yeah. I mean, just I feel like he was that transition from Jordan, but we were at an age where we could follow his career clearly. Mm-hmm. And it puts it's a reality check, especially having a daughter for me, but also having a business. And it's funny because everybody's like, a lot of people are saying, it was tough, and even basketball players. And it's like, well, usually when people pass, the person says, well, my father, whoever would have wanted me to play, right?
Yeah.
There's no doubt that Kobe would have been like, no, fools. I want you, don't stop.
Yeah.
And that's the Mamba mentality. And that's what I put in my journal, was Mamba mentality. And it makes me really want to do more, work harder, make a bigger impact. And it was I didn't realize how big of a deal he was. As crazy as that sounds, I didn't realize how big of a deal he was outside of just to the world.
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, I heard that China's flipping out, because of how much he was making an impact just in China.
Yeah.
I mean, and we all know how China feels about the NBA. They love their basketball too, but it was pretty wild. And I even had people because YouTube's a wonderful thing, I had people from all over the world that would come in our community and be like, listen, I don't know anything about Kobe, but I realized that people are really upset, so I'm sorry to people from other countries that have no idea what's going on. We're giving our condolences as if, there was some, I mean, it wasn't a huge tragedy, but you would think that I don't know, some place got bombed or something. That's kind of what you can equate it to. That's the kind of impact it had on people.
Yeah. Well, I feel like instead of a toast competition, we should just give a toast. To Kobe and to legacy.
Yep. Leaving a legacy.
And to a Mamba mentality.
That's right.
Oh.
We took the whole thing on that.
And if people didn't like this, I know. If people got a problem with this, I don't care. I really don't care.
No, I don't. No, I don't care. I think it's. I mean, even this is probably a month out. Like, I think people are still going to want to hear it. Hear our takes on it, because it'll still be fresh. I think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, it's good to talk on these topics and sort of give people a sense of those conversations. And we'll be back to regular scheduled programming. But it's definitely pertinent. And, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think that this is really, really eye-opening and just kind of makes you think about, like, what are you doing with your life almost,
Yeah. Well, we always talk about takeaways. So are people out there, think about your legacy, think about what you're doing and the impact you're making. So with
hug your kids and your family.
Yes. Yeah, for sure.
All right, guys. With that, hopefully it wasn't too much of a downer, but I think you need some episodes like this to just kind of provide perspective. So,
well, let me tell. I got to say something funny, so we don't end on a somber note.
Okay.
There's a clip. I got to pull it up. I'll put it on my IG Cash here. If Cash_here. This is a new season. We're doing it right this time. Kobe tripped somebody in the lane when he was playing basketball. He tripped somebody in the lane on purpose, and we used to joke and we used to try to trip our friends in public, and we'd say Kobe, and we'd trip them. So if you're out there, go and trip somebody and say Kobe,
or just crumple up a piece of paper and then go Kobe. Throw it in the trash can. You can do that too.
All right, don't trip anybody.
See you guys.